Hello and welcome to another episode of the VR Untethered podcast where we have both of us again. We have not Josh and we have not Brad. And we have Brad and we have Josh.
What?
All of us are here again.
Happy days, happy days. Right before the Thanksgiving and...
Yep. So, I know that while you were gone, you didn't necessarily have a whole lot of VR time, but did you have any news or anything else like that was especially a highlight to you? Or
Well, I learned that I could live without VR for 3 weeks now. And I've also learned that I don't want to live any longer without VR. So 3 weeks seems to be about the extent of living without VR that I could handle.
yeah,
That's what I found out.
I remember you were saying that you had to stay in a hotel for an extra night because of the storms and the hurricanes and whatnot. And I think you managed to get a little mostly offline VR done then, right?
Only offline VR.
Spend time looking at the koi fish and the in the new Oculus home environment.
Just a minute or two of the koi fish was enough to start settling me down a little, and then I was able to play Space Pirate Trainer for a little bit, so that was like the real thing.
Right.
And I believe I have about 12 minutes on my Quest 2 at this point, maybe 15. And it's frustrating. It really is. I want to get into Pop 1 so bad. And
you missed that big event with all the energy cores, and it was a 6-day event. So
I missed that. I missed the pumpkin heads and Super Hot. I missed so much stuff that was going on. And my
Phasmophobia had gone also.
Yeah, what's going on with that? It seems like it's really catching on, Phantasmophobia.
I mean, the other day I pointed out to my wife that it's got like 25,000 people streaming it on Twitch, and even more people watching it. So
wow,
it's huge.
And it came out of nowhere. It really like just dropped, and then seriously, from the time I've been gone till now, it was nothing when I left, which was like 3.5 weeks ago. And
yep.
I know. So
and I don't know if you got a chance to watch any of the episodes I did while you were gone, but last week, I think it was, I mentioned that the developer's incredible success with this has made us always shifted focus a little bit, and whereas he wasn't initially going to be releasing it from early access like so this month or whatever, and then working on the Quest port, now he's going to delay the releasing it from early access a little bit longer. He's going to work on polishing it more, adding more stuff, and so the Quest port is delayed a bit as well, which sad news for Michael, because he doesn't want to play on PC. He wants to play natively on the Quest, but it's good for the game itself because there are bugs in the game. So.
Well, that's the thing, is my Quest has become my traveling buddy. And as much as I would love to play my PC VRs, which I have set up, there's like months can go by in between. So I pretty much count on the Quest native version of everything.
Right. Well. The native games and apps are much more reliable because they're always there with you. But when you are not in the situation you are in, when you're at home and you have access to that computer, then there's no valid reason really to, in my opinion, to say, no, I'm only going to play it if it ports to the Quest.
The The only reason,
Asgard's Wrath. He's played other
right?
PC games, so there's no reason, he just doesn't want to do it. So it's up to him.
To me, the only reason I could see for it is if you live in an area where power outages are frequent, or if you travel a lot, like I do.
It doesn't matter if it's native or not. It's an online game.
Right.
They can't play it offline. So.
Right. But for traveling like I do, it's much more difficult to rely. And how many copies do you want to buy? Just because you have a PC version doesn't mean you're going to have access to it on your Quest unless you have access to your PC.
Right. Well, yeah, because it's Steam only right now. So, yeah, no way it can be a cross-buy because it's Steam. And Steam is cross-buy with Oculus. So,
right, so that's just it.
On the other hand, it's only $14. I don't know how much that works out to in Canadian currency, probably like 28, but
right, I know, some crazy number, $437, but you do get free college education. Yeah, I wouldn't want to have to pay those prices. But yeah, no, it looks like an interesting game. And what I don't understand when you see the numbers on the games ever since the Quest 2 launched, and you see the numbers of sales on the game, why
for anything else?
Right. Yeah. Why hasn't all work just ceased on everything and just like built for the Quest? It's like the Go games that are coming out now. The guys realized they're not going to be able to sell them in another month or two. So now there's 27 games a week coming out for the Go.
Yeah, and it's sad. I forgot to put that in the news, but yeah, the Go is like 3 weeks away from being at its end of life.
I know, it's crazy. It really is.
It'll still be usable, but you can't get anything off of the store anymore. Anything new, anything updated would have to come from side loading. I forget where I saw, but so someone downloaded or they worded it weirdly, but they said that they updated an app on their Go, and then when they went to run it, it told them that they needed to update it from outside of Oculus. So the developer already turned off updates for it.
Wow.
So you have to go side quest and to download and sideload the update.
That's ridiculous. That really is.
Yeah, I mean, my wife is really upset about this as well. She feels that they should be offering refunds and whatnot for a lot of the titles because it hasn't been out very long at all, and they're already sunsetting it.
Right. Well,
yeah, and I get why they don't necessarily want to support the Oculus Go titles moving forward on the Oculus Quest platform, but that's something they had promised. And they only did one batch of titles ported over to be compatible and to downloadable on the Quest. They did one batch, nothing else, and now they're saying that that's only good for the original Quest. Quest 2 doesn't have that option at all.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
Once again, we were back at this. It's like, seriously, you're not going to even put an emulator in there so that you can, and not even an app to have access to the APKs so you can open the thing without going through SideQuest. It's ridiculous for a Go. The Go. Really?
I know.
How many people that were technically oriented bought the Go in the first place other than as a gimmick?
Right.
So.
Well, given the nature of VR users, I would not be surprised if there is somebody out there who's going to find some way to reach out to all the developers who want to make it available legally, get all the APKs, store it on a server,
Right.
make an emulator app that runs on the Quest, have that available inside Quest, and then you can just download them and play them.
It would seem to me that that's the only thing that they could do, and it would be stupid for somebody not to do that.
Yeah.
Do you know how many Go's are going to be on the market again now, new VR users after the Quest 1 and Quest 2? It's like...
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, while my wife is upset about that, she hasn't really touched the Go in a long while either.
You know, I realized the other day when I was using the Go and seeing what I could update everything to, it was really comfortable. The screen is really great. The picture is really, really good on the Go.
It is.
And there were some really fantastic titles like Smash and just other titles that we've talked about over the while. And I think it's crazy to sunset it. I really do.
Yeah.
And unfair.
Dead Secret and Dead Secret Circle were on the Go. Augmented Empires, Wishblood,
I know. Republic.
Yeah.
Republic was on the Go.
Great games on the Go. There were a lot of great productivity titles too, if I remember right. But yep, so it's we need to play taps for it now, unfortunately.
Well, that's the thing is don't turn on your Quest 1 and 2 at the same time or they'll both blow up also. So
that was a misunderstanding. It's not that you can't have two devices on the same account, just you can't necessarily try to play the same online game on both of those devices at the same time, which we already knew, but now that it's tied in to the Facebook account, that could potentially have repercussions on Facebook account.
Right.
So
crazy stuff, really crazy. The other day, the Oculus app wasn't working on my phone, and I was wondering what did I do wrong that Facebook is punishing me for. It's like,
you haven't played in too long. You were cut off.
That's what I was thinking.
You're no longer a VR user.
Right, just cut him off when he gets back on. Well, I'm still at version 21, it says, as opposed to 23.
Yeah, 23 is the most recent, but I think that is still rolling out.
So. Well, it ain't rolling over here. It's on a slow roll as far as I'm concerned.
On the river down to you?
It has not, and it's funny because I went to play today for the first time in weeks, and when I saw that 23 hadn't hit yet, I want to see the 90 hertz version already. It's like I've waited a month just to play. I'll wait another day or two and see if I get 23. I just go to the 90.
I forget, do you have it so you can check for updates in the setting or no?
Well, it does. However, it never gives you the option until it's already installed it. So
until it's available, right? Which I think that's kind of a crappy way of doing that, but
considering that version 23 is out there and I'm on version 21, there should be something under my update settings that would allow me to
yeah.
Something, right? There's got to be something out there that I'm missing. So
Oculus would tell you, when in doubt, factory reset.
Yes, they would. And do it soon.
Guarantee that it updates to the most recent version.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right away. Just because it had to download 131 gigs of my old library. What? How did that all fit on my old library?
I don't know. Obviously, it didn't. You must have had some stuff not installed.
Well, no, I guess it's the old, the smaller your drive, the more it compresses your files. So I guess it was just that much of compression,
All right, yeah. My highlight of the week, moving on, because we've spent, I think, probably 10 minutes here so far. My highlight of the week is we had an Onward match Saturday, yesterday. We're recording this a day later than usual because of Brad not getting home till the middle of the day yesterday. So,
Sorry, folks.
but we had an Onward match last night, and we had a rough first map, but then we won the second map, and we were on our way to winning the third map when the other team had to forfeit that last map because they lost so too many players due to the technical issues. But we were on our way to winning. We were 3-0, and you only have to get to 4 points to win. 2 of those points in that one were from me capping right under their nose.
Wow.
I don't know, have you played Onward at all, or watched any of the videos, familiar with any of the maps? Or
I have not had a chance to really jump into Onward since I did the tutorial. So,
yeah, well, one of the maps is called Suburbia. It's a small section of a suburban neighborhood, and the Volk team is at one end, and the Marsoc team is at the other end. The objective is always on the Volk side because they are defending it. And Marsoc needs to get to the objective and to try to send an uplink code. Well, we were actually down one player, so we were 4 players instead of the 5 we would normally have. They had been at 4, but we're now 3, and they didn't want to go into a forfeit, so they were trying to keep it going. And it came down to me and one other person on our team left. And the objective was right next to a tank that was in the middle of the street on their side. And there's a house right here where they were all in. I was coming from over here. Our other guy was over here, and he was taking all of their attention. So they were all looking that way. I managed to come down here, sneak over behind the tank, get barely within range of the objective, which is literally right at the end of the tank, and do a capture of it.
oh, cool.
And as soon as I did, I heard them go, "What the?" And they ran around to try to kill me, but it was too late at that point.
That's great. But you still did not manage to actually technically win because the game was called on account of.
Well, the map was, but had we kept going, we would have won. All we needed was one more win, and
Right.
they would have had to come up with 4 wins while preventing us from getting 1 win.
They would have had to have become very, very good in a very short amount of time. I got you.
So, even though technically that didn't count because it was the forfeit that gave us that map, I still good about that. So
Right.
that was a highlight. Or
Oh, don't do that. Your hands are disappearing. It's weird. You're
a double jointed thumbs up.
double jointed. It's amazing that you still have fingers. Yours keep disappearing.
Oh, what can I say?
It's weirder when your mouth disappears when you drink the coffee. That's interesting.
Moving on to new releases. I did not know this was coming officially to the Quest Store at all. Engage. This is kind of a social, kind of an education, kind of a meeting-based app.
Right.
You can create kind of surround sound presentations that are scripted, so that you are, one of their example things is they're talking about house cats and how they're, evolved to be our pets and how they are opportunistic predators and all that, right? And During that, all of a sudden, a giant house cat appears in front of you, or a giant bird appears, and the guy is talking about how the cat, they get the birds or whatever, and all of a sudden, that giant cat pounces on the giant bird, and so it's all 3D models interacting with each other in front of you, so called up and should just be an interface by the instructor. HTC Vive has been doing their HTC Vive, HTC has been doing their the press releases in Engage, and they've been doing things like when they're talking about how we're all explorers in outer space or whatever, all of a sudden everyone in the audience is wearing a spacesuit.
Okay.
So it's got lots of cool features of that nature. And for the longest time, it was PC only, and then it was available via side loading for the Quest. I didn't even know that it was planned on coming officially to the Quest store, but now it's available on Quest officially. So,
and that's a free one, or was that the?
Yeah, it's free. Yeah,
that sounds really like a lot of fun compared to like vSpatial and a lot of the other.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, it's kind of like AltSpace in some ways, except that AltSpace doesn't let you script and then control events and whatnot like that. But it's a world where you walk around in. You got a video screen and all that stuff, and moderation controls for the people and whatnot.
Okay, yeah. So it sounds a little bit more,
in my opinion, a better version of AltSpace.
How about Halcyon? Is it a better version of Halcyon also? Horizon?
Well, it can hold more people in it, so yes.
Okay.
And androgynous looking avatars.
Well, they have some new rooms that they're advertising now that I want to go back in and look at, because they must. Wow, your entire jaw disappeared just now.
Stop looking.
It's hard not to. It really is. Anyway, so I want to go back in and look at Professor Zoidberg. We'd wonder where you'd been. Anyway, Halcyon is. I want to see their new room that they're actually advertising to go into, because that's hopefully going to be a better room than the ones they've been providing us.
Yeah. They promoted a room that was made by one of the developers in our Discord, Slyn.
Oh, okay.
But he was like, "Oh, it's only been tested with 3 people, and they're opening it for 6 people." It's basically murder game, a detective, a killer, and innocent bystanders.
Okay.
And they'd only tested it with murderer, detective, and 1 bystander. The most enjoyable version of the game, probably, because really easy to figure out who the murderer is in that situation. The only other person besides us 2 just got killed, and I know it's not me, so.
Right, it sounds like a very basic version of Among Us. Very basic version
You're
of Among
Us. No, I'm not sus. Yes, you are.
Ta-da! And I see that they're doing great with the
for some crashes, and it didn't necessarily perform as expected and whatnot, because they pushed it before it was actually ready, evidently.
Right. Well, I've been playing around in Halcyon a little bit, and it's not the easiest building room to get working, and
well,
I want a beard.
I kind of like the building interface. much more polished than Rec Room, and it's got more functionality from the get-go.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, things are still a little bit clunky. It's still very much a beta.
That's the thing, is you would think by now there'd be a bit more polished than there is. So
Right. Another new release that we had was Spheres, which is a short experience that seems overly dramatic. I am not going to get it because watching the trailer for it, I couldn't understand a word that was being said because it was all drowned out by the music. And that kind of thing. And it's to get you to appreciate outer space, and it's talking about the cosmic sounds of the outer space objects and whatnot, and the majesty or whatever. But a lot of the reviews, well, to some of them, to some at least of the reviews, I don't know exact percentage, but at least some of them said is short and is really pretentious, which is what the
trailer is. Right?
The impression of.
The trailer is even shorter and more pretentious. So
yes.
we fit all that pretense into it.
Space things and increasing our appreciation of that, but when it's done with that, in a world where sort of,
right. Save that for Jurassic World.
Yeah.
I am waiting. My highlight of the week has not happened until next week, when Star Wars
Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. Yeah. Yeah. That I don't know if that's this week or next week. I don't know if there's been an actual date given.
19th.
I know that it's supposed to be this month, and we're about to move on to this section anyway, so we'll just talk about this one first. Upcoming titles.
How did we get there?
But yeah, it's supposed to be coming to this month, which means either later this week or next week are the only two options for coming this month at this point. So
right.
I'm not sure which it'll be. I'm hoping it'll be this week, but if it's next week, that's fine too.
I think it's next week, because I think I read the 19th, which doesn't fit into any of our category Thursdays, but I think it might be.
The 19th, I believe, is this week, because today is the 15th.
Ah, yes. So it would be Thursday, this coming Thursday. Yep. That
would be Thursday. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. It's supposed to be a very good port of what was originally intended to only be experienced at Disney, which is nice. And it's supposed to be longer than the original Vader games, which would also be nice.
Yeah, that would be very nice.
But it's also more expensive than the original Vader games, so.
Yeah. Well, if it's longer enough, then a higher price is worth it. If it's still too short for how much they are charging for it, I don't know. But I know that it's another episodic one, even though it's only 2 episodes.
2 episodes, right? Which means they cut 1 in half, right?
Learned their lesson and made it at least 2 hours per episode. Get past that return window. Yeah.
Right. I'm sure they learned that the hard way.
Maybe.
But, then you're looking, I think it's $24.99 or $29.99. So we're looking at $50 or $60 for the entire package.
Right. And yeah. So we'll see.
But
we shall see.
We know the quality is going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. And other upcoming titles that are not for the Quest is
Tarzan.
Sorry, I didn't mean to deafen you.
No, that's okay. It's okay, Your Highness.
It also is going to be in multiple episodes. It's coming out this week as well, but not on Thursday, on Tuesday, because it's a PC VR game. And it's coming out with 1 and 2 on Tuesday, and then episode 3 next year, I believe. So,
Well, that's a long wait in between.
yeah.
Uh,
I just remember their awesomely done music video trailer, Tarzan.
well, at least it's going to take less time for the sequel than Avatar. So,
True. In all honesty, it looks like it should be a fun game if it's done halfway decently. I'm not sure what the pricing is going to be on it. Hopefully, it's not like $30 per episode, because that would make $90 for all 3. That's a lot.
right. That is. But PC games tend to go down in price pretty quick, too. So.
True, and they go on sale and whatnot, whereas Quest games never go on sale.
Well, once again, Quest hasn't been around long enough to say never. You know, that's the problem. It's like saying Go games.
They don't go on good sales usually. Well, occasionally they're the decent sale, but no.
That's true, but sometimes there's 3% off on some games, which is a real motivator, you know. That. Yeah. Wow, I can save 98 cents if I buy this.
Buy this bundle of 2 games and get it for $2 less than you would if you bought them both individually.
Even though you didn't want one of them.
Yeah. Exactly.
Thank you, Oculus.
Another game coming out this month, November 27th, on Steam is Hinge, a Lovecraftian-inspired horror game set in the 1920s, in the middle of the Great Depression. And according to the Upload VR article I read on it, they are wanting to stay away from jump scares. So it's going to be a psychological horror game. And the premise is you are attending an art gallery to dinner thing or whatever, and then at night, now you have to escape the horrors of Lovecraft that are coming after you.
The Call of Cthulhu.
Thing! Cthulhu thing!
I love Lovecraft. Honestly, I think Lovecraft psychologically has given me the creeps. I can't tell you how many stories I left the house and like the whole world was just sort of tilted a little to the side. And it's virtually impossible to capture that feeling from, you know, every time I see the word Lovecraftian, or nothing is Lovecraftian other than Lovecraft, honestly.
Right. True. And part of what makes Lovecraft work is it's all between here.
All of it, right. Exactly.
Which is hard to capture in a movie. It's hard to capture in a game, you know.
I know.
Now, one thing that intrigues me a little bit about this game is it also promises monsters that have never been seen before, either in games in general or in VR games. I forget which. But
okay. Once again, as I said, you know, to me, the idea of walking around this New England town and seeing a guy around the corner for an eighth of a second and realizing you think you saw gills and his skin looked a little greenish, that scares me. You know, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't want to see this guy head on. It's not going to scare me. It's going to be stupid. But the idea that something like that can exist in this town's going to creep me out. So that's why it's going to be very difficult to bring Lovecraft into.
Yeah. I think it's possible, given Dread Halls. That game is scary as heck. And a lot of it is you don't see anything, you don't hear anything. It's just atmospheric. It's all in your head. You know?
Right.
So if they can tap into the magic that makes Dread Halls work, then they potentially got a Lovecraftian horror game. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would really love that because somebody used the word Lovecraftian for Thumper, and I'm thinking, really,
Yeah.
Lovecraftian,
Well,
huh?
I think that was because of the design of the monster. You know, it looked vaguely Lovecraftian in the design of the big monster, but number one, there's no sense of danger. There's no sense of slowly going insane. And the monster doesn't really interact with you. It's just this, you know, light at the end of the tunnel thing, you know?
Well, no, it comes after you and you hit it when
Yeah.
you get
Well,
close enough, but
true.
I would,
You've got to beat it at the end of the level or
right.
whatnot. But But yeah, for the most part, it's just you are a space beetle racing towards this giant skull with the tentacles or whatever, you know?
Right, which I never read that Lovecraft story ever.
No.
So,
I
um,
think people would think anything with tentacles automatically makes it Lovecraft.
okay. Well, some of the old ones do have
Which
tentacles, so.
that Dr. Zoidberg is Lovecraft.
Well, you just have a bigger mouth than I do, but I'm still getting the Zoidberg effect.
Yeah. Uh, so, but yeah, I know what you mean. I never really considered Thumper even horror, really. You know, it's more well,
I
metal.
can't classify it,
It's
right? It's
metal
rhythm,
than anything else. You know, rock and roll metal stuff. You know,
right? It's
aesthetics.
weird.
You know,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, yeah, I wouldn't call that Lovecraftian or horror, personally.
It's
Uh,
horrible to call it Lovecraftian. That's the only thing I can.
yeah. One of the other things about Hinge is they mentioned that some of the monsters are going to be attention based or something like that. So this object that you have been looking at turns out that it's actually one of the ghosts or whatever. You know,
Okay.
so it's gonna to play with your attention. You know,
Okay.
so it's not gonna be your traditional. Oh, look, it's a monster with a dog's head and cat's body and a snake's tail or whatever, you know.
Ooh, sounds creepy.
Yeah, but it will be something more eldritch, I guess. More. Um, if you've ever read, and I know you have, any of the Dresden Files, is
Mhm.
like some of the outsiders, you know,
Okay.
or I'm blanking on his name now. The guy who wrote the Pippin Flinks books, I think is the author, but I could be wrong. Anyway, there was a book that I read ages ago where monsters from this other reality that are everywhere on Earth, unless you have your eyes opened to be able to see them, you're driving along the road and you see what looks like a tire mark on the freeway. Well, that's really one of the monsters disguising itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
it's like Lovecraft. We were speaking about Lovecraft. You put six rocks in the right spot and hit the right note, and it opens up a dimensional portal to a
Right.
creature, and it's just, okay. That's the Deus Ex Machina we're going to use. Let's go with it. So,
Right. All right. Enough about Hinge, which sounds like it will make people unhinged. It's
it
just like
does.
tethered.
Ooh, I like the way you did that.
Um, and remember, like and subscribe if you like being untethered because of being unhinged. We're moving on to news. Big bit of news. The Quest 2 jailbreak appears to be fake.
Yep.
The very fact that it was being called Jailbreak kind of made me dubious about it from the very get-go, because the Oculus Quest and the Quest 2 are Android-based. Jailbreak is an iOS term. The proper term for Android is root.
Exactly.
But evidently what tipped people off is the original poster was claiming that he could get Windows XP to run on the Quest 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to run on Android and ARM, just the type of stuff.
Not well, no. You might be able to get the splash screen to run, but
Right.
other than that, I don't think you could do it.
No. So, what appears to quite possibly be what is actually going on is the guy that claimed to have the jailbreak used ADB or SideQuest to delete a lot of the system files for Oculus so that it would appear to not have any Facebook stuff on it. When, because
a master root,
yeah, those and it will still run.
Right.
You just won't have access to whatever those files give you access to.
Right.
So,
okay. So that was the jailbreak story. Gotcha.
It was a hoax, it sounds like, yep.
Okay.
So, the quest for a jailbroken, a rooted Quest 2 still goes on, I am sure.
When you say Quest 4, I was, oh my God, I've only been gone for 4 weeks. How many new ones have they come out with?
That'll be midsummer next year, Quest 4.
Quest 4.
Quest 3.
The search for Spock, it's like...
Yes. Moving on in other better news from Oculus, their YUR Fit clone is coming. Their fitness tracker, which is basically a clone of YUR Fit, but integrated into the OS, is coming. 90 Hertz is coming with the latest update, which I know you don't have yet. I don't think I have it yet either. So, I don't know if this is here yet, but it will be soon. Giftable games.
Wow. Found another way to take my money.
To give people the gift of VR games now.
Oh, wow. They are just amazing. They can't get me a VR cover, but they can take my money so somebody else can have a game. They're amazing. They finally figured out what J.C. Penney's figured out 15 years ago. It's great for a tech company, isn't it?
They figured out what Steam already had going for it. I've got Phasmophobia purchased. I could go back in and purchase a copy of it for Michael if I wanted to.
Oh, look! You could go to Publix and get a gift card and send them the code and let them just.
Exactly.
This is just not rocket science, I can't be thrilled over Facebook finally figuring out a way to take more money.
The Facebook gift cards.
It's like
applied to Oculus.
I know.
Especially with the integration going on now. No more Oculus. Now it's all Facebook.
I know. It's scary how everything now says Facebook. It's just like, yeah. I guess they want to be broken up. I think they're daring the government to, call them a monopoly.
I believe Mark Zuckerberg did say that he welcomes more government regulation of stuff.
Well, he's the United States of Facebook right now, so I'm really not sure what they're, where did you get your letter from? Belfast?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So, moving on, Nathan Rowe of Sculptor VR, which is it's not really necessarily officially intended as a professional level modeling or sculpting app, but it kind of is in the right hands. He has handed that off, as in sold it, to Sketchbox, because he is now, as of tomorrow, Monday, working for Apple on their reality kit, I think it's called, which is a game dev kit for developing augmented reality and VR or whatever games.
Oh, ARKit? ARKit?
Not AR kit, no.
Oh. Damn, he was really a great guy too. Sculpt VR was really exceptional. He worked on that all the time.
Yeah. Yep.
And he wasn't a greedy guy. You know, once you got in with him, he was fine.
Yep.
So good
really
luck with him to Apple.
He made tons of improvements to it.
Right.
I mean, it's an amazing app, and it's used. I mean, there's one guy that's been amazing everybody with to making T-Rex heads and then printing them out on a 3D printer. I think his next thing he's going to do with it after he finishes his current one is he's going to go for the 3D printing a life-size one. No, he hasn't actually said that. I'm just.
Well, it would be interesting. It would certainly be
He
intriguing.
keeps getting bigger and bigger with every one he does.
Well, it's NURBS. I mean, you know, so yeah, it's sort of like having bitmaps.
As voxels. Yeah, as a voxel-based app, yeah. So. I know. My mouth disappeared again. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't understand. Not only did it disappear, there was a hole straight through your head to the robot behind you. It was very.
I like it.
It was a unique effect.
This is something Michael is happy about, but also sad about. Agency from the Lo-Fi developer has been approved for Quest development. This is good because this is the Quest game that's in the Lo-Fi universe.
Mm-hmm.
But it's bad because if he gets enough, he's still working on getting enough money to justify it, but he'll be pulling people off of Lo-Fi and onto this.
Right.
So,
which is fine.
Yeah.
Really, for him, it's a better idea because, once again, the Quest. You know, it's like Jimmy John's. Why sandwich? Why Quest? You know, it's like it's very simple. It's going to sell.
Yeah.
I looked at the numbers for Super Hot and for Pop One. Oh my God, these guys are selling like incredible amounts of games now. Just incredible.
Well, yeah, I mean, speaking of Phasmophobia, which is on Steam, if it were on Quest, oh my goodness, he's already a millionaire because of the game on Steam, I am sure, and he's funneling a lot to back into working on the game, but I'm sure he had well over $1 million in sales. You know.
Right, which is fantastic. But once again, if he did it to the Quest, it would have been 7 million in sales.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
So I'm not really understanding why they're not following the money, unless they think that the HP Reverb G2 is going to revolutionize the way that VR is done. You know,
I don't know. Speaking of PC VR and Quest and whatnot, and the whole wired versus wireless debate, and following the money. Evidently, according to the CEO behind the Decagear headset, 5,000 Decagear 1 pre-orders have gone so far, with 76% of people choosing the wireless adapter as well. So that means that most of the people interested in this are interested in it not for the wire, but for wireless.
they want to know the Quest, and the whole point is that what does it take to order one? $5? It's like, you know, you're not really betting anything.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
a $10 pre-order, I believe.
Right. There's no fee, basically. You could put your order
Yeah.
in and sit back and wait and see what happens. So,
Right. Now, hopefully he is able to deliver on everything that he promised. I am tempted to join in the pre-orders, but at the same time, I've got a Quest 2. They can already do all this.
well, I know I was going to say, like you
Well,
just
almost
said,
all of it. They can't do the face and the eye tracking stuff, but
neither can he, because you just said he sold 5,000. It's $10. He just raised 50 grand. If that's all it's going to
I
take,
think he's also going to be doing a Kickstarter at some point. Also, once he gets a little bit further along.
I don't care
But
if he does a Broadway
yeah,
show and a TV special. It's not going to happen. Not before somebody else is there.
right. Well, as I said, hopefully he is able to deliver on his promises. I don't know if he will be able to, but we will see. I'm not investing in it because I've already got a device that can do all of that except for the face tracking stuff. And yes, it's tied to Facebook, but my Quest was already tied to Facebook. I already had it linked.
Look,
It's
at
just
this
making it official. You
right
know?
at this point, if you have a PC VR headset, in which
Yeah.
case you're buying into PC VR and not into any particular ecosystem.
Right. I mean, I can use Steam. I can use Oculus. I can use native Quest apps. I can download VR games from the Epic Game Store. I can download VR games from it. I can download VR games from EA Play. Wherever I can get VR games from, I can play them.
Right. So the whole point is that when it finally does become a reality in 6 years from now, and it's capable of I don't know what, then you can look at buying it. But at this point, it's like the whole hype on the HP Reverb G2. There's
Right.
they're still coming out with another version of it. It's like they came out with this one, and you were on a waiting list for a year, knowing there's a better one coming out in 6 months from now. So,
And um, I don't think it's dropped yet, but Eric for President warned his followers that he had a video dropping on the G2, and he posted a short video clip of him playing Population 1 with his mic sounding like this. He was talking and it was all kind of fuzzy and muffled and
well, it's perfectly named. It's called the Reverb. So,
yeah, so I'm like, I'm gonna guess that he's gonna tear into it a little bit, maybe.
well, when it comes out as such it's being touted as a Ferrari. If it comes
Right.
out, it's a Chevy, then,
Right. I mean, nothing wrong with a Chevy if you know it's a Chevy.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the commercials for the Quest. They should tone it down a little bit. Like, don't get that excited. It's good, but it's not what you're showing people. So
It's not like you actually do go in the game, huh?
that's it's
Well,
funny
some
because
people try to. They to try to dive into their TVs.
well, also lean on their pool table or
Yeah.
uh,
I have to say there are sometimes when I'm in a game and I'm wanting to rest my arm on something and I'm like, that's too bad that's not real.
yeah, I know the feeling. It's I miss it so much, but this week is dedicated to me getting back into my VR and catching up on all the good stuff and getting Star Wars rather, and I'm debating Saints and Sinners.
Nanu.
That right, Shazbot. I am debating on Saints and Sinners. I don't know. I have so many zombie games. It's like,
Well, I think right now that's in the Humble Bundle. I think that's still active, but I'm not sure.
I know, but once again, not native and
True.
travel. you know, I do have travel in mind, so it's like,
Right.
and that has a lot of content. So if it says it's 12 hours, that means for me it'll be 48,
No,
and
it'll be 72.
at least. So I better have it with me whenever I travel, as opposed to thinking I'm going to get it done tomorrow. You know?
Yeah. Now, another interesting title that is being worked on is, I don't know if it's in Kickstarter now or if it's starting soon, but remember when you were a kid and you would play cowboys and Indians with your friends, which is an outlawed game now because it's so racist and involves guns, but you would use these as your guns, right? Well, finger gun. There is a Kickstarter for an Oculus Quest native game using hand tracking where your guns are your fingers.
But what that means when you shoot, you're shooting yourself.
Well, I'm not sure what the mechanism is because when I was a kid and I used a finger gun, I wasn't going bang bang. I was going bang bang. You know,
Really? You were
yeah,
act
like the hammer coming down on it.
No, no, I got that, Josh. Thank you. I took physics, but no, I'm thinking most people would pull the trigger. It's,
Well, I may be weird, but whenever I do it this way, it's always here's the hammer coming down. If I were
are you still there? Uh-oh.
hopefully it's still recording me. Okay, there we are. Um, but it's like is how I would do it if I were imagining pulling a trigger. I'd imagine actually holding it here and then pulling the, so,
Right.
but
Well,
that may just be me. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, for us, it was always pull the trigger, and that was kind of, you know, I'm wondering what happens when that disappears, whereas the barrel pointing. And the other thing is that you should know when you were doing this, your thumb kept disappearing, so your gun was not firing.
No, it was. It was just firing so fast you couldn't see it.
Cool. Very cool.
But either which way, given that hand and finger tracking in Oculus is still a little bit wonky, I don't know how good this game is going to be because how fun will it be to go, oh wait, I lost tracking, oh, I'm dead.
Right.
You know,
About as much fun as playing Solaris, I guess.
maybe.
Yeah, that's too bad that that's my last real memory of playing a game is Solaris. It did make it easier to give up VR for a while, I have to say. But
True.
yeah, reading about Pop One was getting me.
Yeah. We have another title confirmed for Quest coming out next year at some point called Sam and Max. This time it's VR or something like that. That might not be the. And so starting off with uh, um, so fighting off a giant robot mech or whatever, and destroying it with a rocket launcher, and then it goes into in their home base and mini games and whatnot. But I don't really know much about the franchise. So,
Oh,
but
Sam and Max is pretty sick.
yeah,
Sam and Max is really, really pretty sick. I remember one of my Sam and Max games when you have to reach into your cat to get out something that's hidden from it's
so it's another Trover.
oh yeah, actually it sort of made Trover look tame.
Yeah, so it's one that it's good to know about. I will probably not be getting it.
No, probably not, but I'll let you know because I probably will. We'll see.
Yes. On the other hand, I wouldn't mind getting the taxidermy VR. I'm that kind of person. You know, the taxidermy or the detection VR stuff. You know, I have no problem with that. But things like Trover and evidently Salmon Max.
Right.
But,
Trover.
what?
I know they supposedly did some upgrades for Trover. I know a lot of games got some Quest
Yeah,
2
a lot of
updates.
games have been getting upgrades. I haven't been to put them all in the news because we'd never get out of that section.
Right. I know. I've been trying to follow, and it's like, well, I guess everybody is pretty much doing it. I'm just wondering what's happening to the Quest 1 trying to play these games now. Can you update it? Can you not update it? Is it?
I don't know. This is why I made the decision to get a Quest 2 because,
Same.
yeah, and I was like, yeah, it's not quite enough of an upgrade to be called a full Quest 2, and it's much earlier than I wanted, but I can see the writing on the wall. Quest 1 is going to be obsolete pretty soon.
Right. That's what I'm seeing as well, is that it's going to start stuttering and flipping, and these other games are going to be made to run at 90 and at 72. They're just going to start.
Yeah. Yep. And our last bit of news, going back to Phasmophobia, where I had, no, it's not that way. Yeah. So that was forward, that was back. I had a Phasmophobia-like experience earlier today. I thought I was being hunted by the ghost because all of a sudden our lights were flickering on and off.
Ooh.
And then they went out.
Ooh.
And so did our microwave and stove clock.
Now I'm detecting a blackout.
Momentary. It was like 5 seconds to 10 seconds, and then the power came back on. So, but it made me think of Phasmophobia.
That means you've been playing too much Phantasmophobia, Josh.
Maybe. Anyways, Phasmophobia is getting a new level soon, a prison level. You can wander around a giant prison at midnight, armed with only a weak flashlight, hunting for a ghost.
Sounds great. Oh, you know what you didn't bring up, and I don't know if you mentioned it in the last couple of weeks, the Middle Earth Minecraft game.
The one that's on SideQuest, or
I'm not sure. I just passed through it while I was reading the news 2 days ago about these guys that have been working for 10 years in Minecraft.
oh, right. Yeah, it took them 10 years to build a model of Middle Earth in
In
Minecraft.
Minecraft, right? Which
Yeah,
looked amazing when they showed like an image of it. It was like, oh my God.
yeah.
10 years in Minecraft. I would hope it's amazing, but still, it's like. So that was the other big news. I didn't want to skip that one, but
Well, yeah, I mean that's not technically VR news, but yeah, it's interesting news.
yeah.
And I'm sure if you have PC VR, because I'm sure that a Java edition map, not a Bedrock,
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
you can probably visit it in VR with Minecraft.
There you go. So for those of you wanting to see a 10-year reproduction of Middle Earth in Minecraft, have at it.
Yes. You're on your own for finding the link, though.
Yes, we're not helping you with that. No matter
Yeah.
how much you beg. I was going to say no matter how much you pay, but that's not true. If you send
If
enough,
they send me $50, I'll go ahead and look for the link for them.
50.
Yeah.
I was just going to hit him for 5,000, Josh. You just
You're gonna, yeah. I'm giving them a big discount.
really, folks, send Josh the money, but send me a copy so I know I got to keep track of this guy. Alrighty, is that the point in the show where we just say goodbye? And
Reached the point of no return. No second chances.
uh-oh, in a world with no second chances.
Well, no, speaking of Phasmophobia, I figured the Phantom of the Opera would be appropriate.
Okay.
We've reached the point of no return, no second chances.
Haven't done much Broadway, have you?
What now?
Haven't done much Broadway, have you?
No, I haven't done any Broadway.
That's good.
But I can sing better than Jerry Butler does.
Okay, I'll give you that.
He would have gone, "At the point of no return," with a kind of strained voice, you know.
Right, sort of like Louis Armstrong reaching there. And
No, he sounds better when he sings.
okay.
It's a wonderful world.
Oh, that was actually pretty good. Did it hurt?
I can talk like this all day long if I want to.
Do you want to?
No.
Oh, good.
But I do sometimes, in Phasmophobia, walk up behind people and go,
And do they offer you a Tums or?
no. They tell me to stop doing that.
I could see that.
I also sometimes go, yeah, I'm that kind of, I'm that kind of person. I like to play, I like to try to scare them sometimes.
Nice guy. I'll be looking.
So you want to join up with me in Phasmophobia?
I was just thinking, remind me to look to make sure you're not playing when I go in there. Yeah, I think it's time for some dread halls and relax.
Dread halls and chill.
It doesn't really go together, but okay.
Chill with the giant hallway dog we're looking for.
Better than Blair Witch, right?
Because then the shadows will start forming and they'll get you.
Okay, and watch out for those weeping angels. Watch out for the weeping angels.
Yeah. On that note, bye. Have a great rest of your week. Make sure to like, subscribe, drag your friends over, and force them to like and subscribe, or play Phasmophobia with me if they don't. Have fun.
Bye.